The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Before we jump in, wow, you guys gave my last video a lot of attention. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the new people who subscribed. That meant the world to me. This video is gonna be a lot more comedic. I know my last video was very serious and intense. Well, I just want to warn you, this video is gonna be a lot funnier. I hope that's okay. I will be making more videos like the Alien Romulus video, but I can whip stuff like this together in a flash, so we got a funnier one for you today. Hope that's okay. Here we go. Like many other American millennials, I was raised in a Christian home. In the 90s and early 2000s, there was this store, and it was called Family Christian Store. Well, as a kid, I remember my mom taking me into this store many times, and they basically had like Christian books, Christian movies. I remember one time my mom bought this movie from the store, and it was called The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry. And, we're like, okay, me and my siblings like, okay, cool, another movie, let's watch it. Now, from experience, I think most Christian movies lack the same resources that normal, like, Hollywood movies have. And one of those resources is money, right? Christian movies, they never have a big budget, and you can tell they are doing the best they can, but in the end, it doesn't turn out right.
I know I hurt you terribly last night. I was wrong to do that, and I'm sorry.
You're apologizing to me?
That's probably the toughest one to sit through. On another note, the best Christian movie I've ever seen is called Fireproof. It's probably the best because it has Kirk Cameron in it, and he's a professional, so he knows what he's doing.
But we're gonna get you out of here. Let's go, let's go! 1, 2, 3!
And I just want to say, I'm not making fun of Christianity or God, because I really do hold that in reverence. I just couldn't pass this up. This is one of those like slightly cringy movies that I knew would be perfect for a video, and it's funny. It's worth watching. So you should go watch it. I really do recommend it. The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry is free to watch on Tubi right now. So if you want a little cringe fix, go ahead and boot it up, baby. Step into 1970 with our lead character, Dustin, his friends, Mark and Albert, and a nice old man named Jonathan Sperry. Okay, I know I said this film would be slightly cringe, but this main theme kind of slaps. I feel bad now. Okay, someone tell these boys to loosen up. They're walking super stiff and it looks very uncomfortable. Is this how little boys walk down the street with their friends? I don't think so. Well, the movie begins with our three main characters meeting up and walking to the local ice cream parlor with their hair so stiff and greased up. I swear, a tornado could not budge this hairdo. Seriously, who in the hair and makeup department thought this was a good idea? I know people would grease their hair back in the 60s and 70s, but man, this thing ain't going nowhere. The boys head into the shop, and we learn that Dustin has a crush on the daughter of the shop owner, Tanya. Ooh. She takes their order, and Dustin awkwardly orders a hot fudge sundae. Then they go fishing, and Dustin's friend Mark says,
"I'm telling you, Dustin, I think you're in love."
And he's like,
"I am not."
And Mark's like,
"Well, I think you are."
Later that night, the boys have dinner at a pizza place, and we are introduced to this movie's main villain, Nick. The only thing I can pay attention to in this scene is that Albert's pizza looks cold. The cheese isn't melted, and just like Dustin's hair, that piece of pizza is stiff as a board. What I love about Nick is that every time he takes something from someone else, like a piece of pizza, the kids will be like, "Hey, that's mine!" "Oh, Nick, I didn't know it was you." Or, "Hey, stop!" "Oh, it's Nick." like they start to stick up for themselves, see that it's Nick, and then just wimp out. Also, I'm pretty sure I remember my little sister and I saying like, "Wow, Nick is kind of hot," when we were kids. After the pizza parlor, Dustin is raking a neighbor's yard when a new character is introduced, Jonathan Sperry. Okay, I will always give credit where it's due. This actor, Gavin McLeod, he does a really good job. It's not his fault that perhaps this movie didn't have a huge budget or the resources that a big Hollywood studio would have. I'm looking at his filmography, and apparently he was in Hogan's Heroes and a lot of older movies from the 60s, 70s. Mr. Sperry isn't creepy or anything like that. He's actually very nice. He asks Dustin if he could mow and take care of his lawn too. He even says he'll pay him, and Dustin agrees. Afterwards, Mr. Sperry invites him inside for some lemonade, and Dustin says,
It's good.
Mr. Sperry mentions that he had a wife once, but she died 4 years ago. He doesn't say how. Walking Dustin out, we see that Mr. Sperry notices his neighbor, an old man with a bad leg across the street. This guy. We see Dustin's mom a couple times in scenes like this one. Presumably, Dustin's father is dead. In the next scene, Dustin leaves a love note for Tanya at the ice cream shop with the generous tip of $0.25. Dang. Well, when he and his friends leave, another waitress clears the table and unknowingly throws away the note. This is just awful. Our first major conflict. Now she's not gonna know he likes her, and he's gonna think she's ignoring him. The next day, Dustin returns to get an answer from Tanya, and turns out she's at the dentist? No. By this time, Dustin's friends Mark and Albert have met Mr. Sperry too, tasted his magical homemade lemonade elixir of life, and gotten to know him a little bit. He starts giving them Bible lessons, which is really kind of adorable. Then Mr. Sperry hires Dustin to mow his neighbor's lawn, the old man with the bad leg, Mr. Barnes, since he can't do it himself. But Mr. Sperry says you cannot tell him I put you up to this, and makes Dustin promise. When Dustin goes over to ask Mr. Barnes if that's okay, he says,
I don't need my lawn mowed.
Then Tanya leaves for a vacation, and Dustin is left without an answer for 3 weeks. While she's gone, he writes her name in his notebook with hearts everywhere. Do boys actually do this? This seems like more of a middle school girl thing to do. Heck, I know I did it all the time, but boys? I mean, I want to know, honestly. Tell me, please tell me, boys. Dustin runs into Nick, our villain, and Nick asks Dustin what book he's holding. Dustin says it's a Bible, and Nick grabs it and accidentally drops it in a puddle. Ugh, Nick, what a jerk. Dustin tries again another day to mow Mr. Barnes' lawn. The man says no and asks who's putting Dustin up to this. But Dustin promised Mr. Sperry he wouldn't tell, and he doesn't. He finally just starts mowing, despite Mr. Barnes' protests. Dustin even goes back another day just to say hi, and tell him about Jesus. Later, the boys decide to take Mr. Sperry out for pizza to thank him for everything he's done for them. Apparently, he's given them a lot of lemonade and a lot of chocolate cake, so... Now, I wanted to just show this scene to you guys, but for copyright reasons, I can't, so I'm just gonna have to act it out. So they're at the pizza shop with Mr. Sperry. Hey, Nick, look at that old man over there. Huh? Huh. Oh, no. Well, who do we got here? Hi, Nick. So, Dustin, who's the old-timer? This is our friend, Mr. Sperry. Mr. Sparrow? Hey, isn't that a bird? Actually, it's Mr. Sperry. Well, aren't you tired, Gramps? 'Cause I heard all old people take afternoon naps. Come on, Nick. Leave him alone. Hey, I'm just looking after Gramps' health. I was cringing so hard here. Not only would this probably never happen, but the acting here is... Nick's deadpan delivery and Dustin defending Mr. Sperry like he can't defend himself. What is he, just a helpless old man? Well, Mr. Sperry actually goes on to tell Nick that he used to know his father and that he was a good man. Turns out, he's dead now. And Mr. Sperry tells Nick that if he ever wants to hear more about his dad, he can stop by anytime. He actually does. and Mr. Sperry is nice to him and tells him about God. Nick is still kind of a jerk, but after another conversation with Mr. Sperry, he starts to have a change of heart. He actually prays, and the actor is pretty believable in this scene, better than the scene before where he was just completely deadpan. Then there's this scene later where Mr. Sperry is trying to teach yet another lesson to the three boys, and it involves them trying to figure out how to reach a $5 bill while also having to have one hand on this tree at all times. And they're all like, this is impossible. And then all of a sudden, Nick shows up like, I can help. Turns out Mr. Sperry invited him here so he could apologize to the boys for being such a bully. Well, working together, they get the $5 and all is suddenly forgiven. Cool. Now all four boys team up to tell the whole neighborhood about God. Wow, look at how big the Bible study is now. Now all the neighborhood kids can enjoy Mr. Sperry's lemonade. And guess what? Tanya's back. Dustin goes and asks her if she got the note, and she says no. So he gets kind of nervous and tells her he'll write her another one. But when she says okay and walks away, he hears her talking to her friends about a guy she met on vacation. When he goes home, it looks like he's sitting down to write her a note anyway. Guess he's still gonna shoot his shot. The next day, he gives it to her and tells her he thinks she's a really nice girl. Well, when he leaves and her friends start reading it, plot twist! He doesn't even tell her he likes her. He tells her about God. What a rebel. Screw dating her. Give her salvation, Dustin. Send her to heaven. Okay, this is the biggest plot twist I have seen in a long time. It's time to strap yourself in because this next scene gets pretty sad. It's a normal day of helping out neighbors and mowing lawns when Dustin passes by Mr. Sperry's house and sees some people outside crying. Yep, Mr. Sperry died. Despite some cringe scenes, this part still kind of made me a little sad. All the boys go to his funeral, and instead of leaving a flower on Mr. Sperry's casket, Justin leaves a lemon? I mean, wouldn't you want to leave like a, I don't know, flower or a lemon? Because the lemonade, all right, I'll give it to you. And dang, this scene of Dustin crying in his room is pretty convincing. I'd be lying if I said I didn't shed a tear, but I pretty much cried everything, so Dustin goes through a really hard time and is having trouble pulling himself together. Until one day, someone stops by to see him. It's none other than grumpy old Mr. Barnes. He says he knows it was Mr. Sperry who put Dustin up to mowing his lawn, and Mr. Barnes wants him to keep mowing his lawn, except now he'll pay Dustin. He also says he's been reading his Bible. Well, isn't that sweet? Dustin really turns this guy around. Well, Dustin's mom is about to hit us with another plot twist. Are you ready for this? We heard early on in the movie that Mr. Sperry's wife had died 4 years ago. But oh my sweet summer child, we never learned how. You want to know how? After Mr. Barnes leaves their house, Dustin's mom says, Mr. Barnes had been drinking and driving and was the one that killed Mrs. Sperry. And Mr. Sperry still forgave him and paid Dustin to mow his lawn. Dang, this guy can make magical elixir of life lemonade and he's a freaking saint. Now at the end of the movie, we kind of get this cool like conclusion to each character. Mr. Barnes and Dustin became good friends and started to attend church together. Aww, Mr. Barnes, this is sad. Mr. Barnes died 4 years later. Aw, man. Tanya started to read her Bible and became a Christian 6 months later. She and Dustin never dated. There's something so funny about that. I don't understand what it is, but she and Dustin never dated. It's like, okay, thanks, I guess. Mark is a biology professor at a Christian college. Nice. Albert owns 3 Christian radio stations in the Northeast. He works with the youth ministry at his church. Nick is a police officer in his hometown. Oh yeah. It's always like the really troubled bad kid that He's like, yeah, I'm gonna turn myself around. I'm gonna make something of myself. But hey, good for him. He heads a ministry helping troubled teenagers find the Lord. Aw. And last but not least, Dustin has been the pastor of the same church for over 15 years. Wow. He preaches from the Bible that Jonathan gave him. Stop making me cry. The four men meet each year at Jonathan's gravesite to share some lemonade. I love it. Yeah, that's it. I actually looked it up after I finished watching it, and apparently, I quote, it is a fictionalized story, but based on a true story. So, sometimes you see like, oh, based on a true story. Yeah, this is one of those stories. So I guess that's kind of cool. I don't know how much of it is true, but yeah, that's it. That's the secrets of Jonathan Sperry. Please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below. Hit me with your thoughts. Let me know if you watched the film. Let me know if you watched it growing up, if you were raised in a Christian home. And be on the lookout for a video coming soon. If you go ahead and hit that notification bell, you will be notified when I upload it. So yeah. The next video should be more serious and not really like this one. If that's more your style, hang in there. Okay? Well, that's all for now. I'm gonna go escape.
First you came, then you left. First I